study today. Like it ties into it so perfectly, and God said to bring him up and let him give a few minutes out of his testimony. So I'm going to bring up Larry, which has a great, come on up, bud. Don't be bashful now, bro. So that's the broken people. All right, so I'm going to give Larry a little bit of time just to tell you a little bit about his story, and we're going to tie it in later.
This is amazing. It really is. I remember when we was over at the 403 Hall up on the square, man. It was about 5 or 6 people, and to see this many people here, it's God's great, right? So my story, you know, some of you guys have heard me share in another setting, at a meeting or something like that. But my story started, you know, I was the youngest of 3 boys. Some say I was the honoriest, and it's probably true. I grew up in Northeast. Some of my earliest memories are over in Northeast Kansas City, and I used to run the streets with my brothers. You know, I wanted to hang with the older kids, and I did, and I learned a lot of stuff that at a very early age that, you know, I probably shouldn't have. So I adopted that stuff into my life. I adopted it into my character, so to speak. My parents were good parents. They worked hard. They struggled with addiction too. I can remember about at the age of 13, we was living in Martin City, I believe. My dad was a mechanic. He made really good money. And we was living in a big house out off 150th and Holmes or something like that. And my dad cheated on my mom with another woman. Well, she got him doing methamphetamines. And that's where that whole kind of thing kind of started there. And it wasn't long. I remember maybe a year's time waking up in my dad's pickup truck behind my aunt and uncle's house because we didn't have nowhere to go. So at that time, you know, my parents kind of left me with my aunt and uncle. And I remember my uncle telling me, he said, "You can stay here, boy." He said, "But you're going to go to school." He said, "That's all I ask of you, and you'll be all right." Well, me, you know, my parents weren't allowed really to come down there because they were doing what they were doing. And I missed my parents, man. I wanted to be with my mom and dad, you know what I mean? So me, I got kicked out of school. So I got kicked out of school. I quit school in the 8th grade. And my uncle said, "I told you, you're either going to go to school or you ain't going to stay here." So I ended up going with my mom and dad. Well, they're living in dope houses, you know. So that went on for about 5 years. My 18th birthday, I tried methamphetamines for the first time. Up until that point, I couldn't stand the stuff. I couldn't stand the people that were coming around. I told myself I'll never do that again. A lot of you guys know that, you know, eventually if you hang around a barbershop, you're going to get a haircut, right? So basically, I became a product of my environment. And when I did not fail. I did not fail at being a drug addict. So 18th birthday, I tried methamphetamine for the first time. By the time I was 23, I had 10 years in federal prison. That's how fast that went. And I had been to prison 3 other times before that for state. And I just couldn't stay clean, you know. I was on probation and I couldn't stay clean, and they'd lock me up, and I'd get out and I'd go right back to the same people, places, and things. And I'd do all right for a minute, and then boom, right back in jail again. So the last time I went to prison, I was 24. They gave me 10 years in federal prison. I got out when I was 32. While I was in there, I did better at my, you know, I got a 8,000-hour plumbing apprenticeship. So when I got out, because while I was in there, I remember thinking, if I don't figure out something, I'm going to get right back out and do the same stuff. So I got out. I started working at, I actually worked at Chubby's on Broadway for the first 6 months that I was on house arrest. And then once I got me a car, I went to Roto-Rooter. I worked for Roto-Rooter for a long time. I learned a lot there about plumbing. Did really good, man. Bought my truck. I bought a house out here in Susquehanna, a really nice house. My daughter was born. Met my daughter's mom. My daughter was born. And eventually, at that time, you know, when I got out of prison, let me jump back a little bit. When I got out of prison, so I went to see my case manager, and I was looking at my stipulations of my parole, and it said that I could have alcohol. So before I even left, you know, prison, I already had that reservation. I already knew that as I just drank, I was gonna be okay, you know? And I was wrong. I still hit a bottom, it just took me longer to get there. So I got out, I did good, accumulated all this stuff. I smashed a lot of goals that I had from when I left prison. I smashed all those goals, the truck, car, or the house, the family, and I lost it all to addiction. My daughter's mom gave me an ultimatum. She said, you either stop or I'll leave. She left. Actually, I left. When that happened, I spiraled. I really did. I stayed in that house after she moved out. I stayed in that house for another 3 years until everything caught up with me financially, and then I sold the house. I moved to where I live now. During that time, I hurt my back on the water heater around the side of the house, and not only was I drinking every day, I started taking pain pills, and that mixture right there took me to a place that I'd never been before. With the meth, I just went until I ended up in jail. Luckily, I ended up in jail. I didn't always feel that way, but when I look back on it today, that was God working in my life. That was God taking me and putting me over here saying, hey, you know, he's basically saving me from myself is what he was doing. I understand that today. So I was in really bad shape. I wasn't working. My addiction had become very physical with the pills and the alcohol. If I woke up and I didn't have one or the other, I was in bad shape. My daughters, you know, I got my daughter around. She's not living with me, but I still get to see my daughter. That's one thing I'm grateful for is her mom never, you know, took my daughter away from me because who knows where I'd be if she did. So, May 8th, 2022, I remember it like it was yesterday. It was a Sunday. Well, before I get to that, let me just say, I had kind of pushed everybody away. My brother Johnny, you guys know my brother Johnny. He's sitting up there. For some reason, I would get messed up and I would call him and I would cry to him about my problems. And a lot of times it turned into an argument. A lot of cussing, and the reason for that is because he was telling me stuff that I didn't want to hear and it was burning my ears. You know what I mean? He was telling me the hard truths that I needed to hear. And in those conversations, I remember something that stands out to me and something that means a lot to me today was he told me I needed to pray about it. And he told me I had to get honest with myself. So the last conversation I had with him, he said, don't call me no more until you're ready to get help. So I found myself praying, something I had never done before. I found myself praying over my addiction. And I was praying for God to please take that pain away because I was in that cycle of drinking and popping pills all day long, 2 or 3 times a day until, you know, passing out, waking up. And then in that morning time, if I didn't have that, I was hurting. And that pain was hurting, you know? So I prayed for God to take that away from me. I told him I would do anything if he took that away from me. And May 8th, 2022, it was a Sunday. I woke up about 4 o'clock in the morning. Well, on Sunday, you can't buy no alcohol in Independence till 9 o'clock. So I had to ride that ride, you know, for 4 or 5 hours, you know, and it was terrible, man. I was really struggling. So about 8:55, I went upstairs and I woke my daughter up. And I said, Delilah, get up, we're gonna go up to the store, I'll buy you some candy. And we got down to the bottom of the stairs and she looked up at me and she said, Dad, are you gonna buy some vodka too? And at that time, I couldn't explain it. I don't know what had happened, but something inside me changed. I had a lot of conviction hit me that morning, a lot of shame, a lot of guilt. The biggest thing was this little girl knows what I'm doing. I was oblivious to it because I had my blinders on my addiction. I was oblivious to what my daughter, you know. I went ahead and went up to the store and got my issue because I was hurting, you know what I mean? But that day just wasn't the same. And drinking popping pills, it just wasn't the same that day. So that night I tried to call my brother, and he didn't lie. He didn't answer the phone. So I shot him a text, and I said, hey man, I'm ready to get some help. And he called me right back. And the next morning, him and his wife got me a bed into detox. And I haven't used anything since then. The 10th of this month is 3.5 years. So for me, like I said, I didn't understand what had happened that morning, but I do today. Jeremiah 29, I believe, verse 13 says, seek me wholeheartedly and you shall find me. And I believe that's, I was reading the Bible and I was looking for something that, kind of pertained to that. And that's where I got to, that Jeremiah 29, verse 13. So if you're sitting in here, man, and you're struggling with anything, tell me, man, turn to God. God changed my life. I did something for the first time. I seeked him out to help me with what I was struggling with, and he didn't fail me. And he came to me in the only way that I would understand, and that was what meant the most to me, and that was my daughter. And it's, you hear the phrase, God works in mysterious ways. It's not a lie. It's very true. My name is Larry.
Let's give you one more round of applause. It takes a lot of courage to get up here and get vulnerable and share with people something like that. But I believe it directly ties in with the lesson today. So some of you know we're going through a 40-week lesson. It's on a Spirit-empowered church. Right? We want this to be a Spirit-empowered church. We want the Holy Spirit to rest on us. So we're on week 24 of that. We've been doing this for 24 weeks. And the first one was loving God through. The other one was loving the church through. And now we're on loving people through. And it's been an interesting few weeks because we all know that loving people is difficult. Right? It's very difficult, and especially loving people that cut you off or the people that are very unlovable out here, because not everybody's at church today. Right? So it's also this next part is even more intricate, I believe, than loving the person that's angry at you or the things like that. And as we're going to look at it, it's P5 is where we're at. And this is the 5th one. Look, this is a 10-week. If any of you want some of these copies of this, I have some somewhere, and I can give them to the 10 that we're going through right now on loving people. I normally have some ready, but I don't. We're winging it partially, so boom, 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 boom. All right, so ministering his life and love to our nearest ones at home. Right, that's why I said this becomes a little bit intricate, a little bit different. Anybody got a brother they couldn't stand, or anybody got a sister they couldn't stand, right? Things like this when it comes to the people in the home or the family. And then it says home and with family, as well as faithful engagement in his body, the church. So I don't know about you, but I wasn't raised with a lot of love like that in the family. There was not a lot of God's love. My grandma tried to express some of God's love, but even my grandma couldn't get along with 2 of her kids at one time. You know what I mean? Like my aunt and my mom hated each other. Like, you know what I mean? Like they hated each other. They didn't talk. Like my aunt barely came to my mom's funeral. Like they bickered their whole life. And it's a shame. So there was a lot of drugs, violence, drama, yelling, screaming. Like that's what the home environment was. It wasn't what love says in Corinthians, is what I'm getting at. And Larry kind of just expressed in his story how the same sort of things were going on in his life. Like I would get yelled at, right? Like yelled at a lot. You know what I mean? Whipped really badly sometimes. Told things like, don't cry, I'll give you a reason to cry. Am I alone? Come on now, I know I'm not alone up in here. You know what I mean? Or I brought you into this world, I'll take you out. And not in a nice way, right? Like mad. You know what I mean? Like I don't know that that's what God was saying to us. Here's a good one. Do as I say, but not as I do. Right? Like these are the things. This is the home environment. Like both of my stepdads were indicted for manufacturing methamphetamines. My dad was on crack cocaine. all of his life. He got cleaned up in alcohol 6 months before he died of cancer. You know what I mean? But he was a very social crack user. Does anybody else come from that environment? Like, just let me know, like, am I alone? I don't believe everybody's home environment like that, but that's how it was at my house. There was nothing healthy about the relationships in my home, right? Like, there was nothing healthy about it at all. Mom was always fighting with her boyfriends. I'm talking ex-partes. Like, I knew what an ex-parte was by the time I was 10 years old. You know what I mean? Like, the police, like, fighting, screaming, domestic violence inside of my home, inside of my life. So I swore I'd never be that. Right? Like, I swore that off as a young kid. But that's what I became. You know, no matter how hard we try, we only know what we know. Right? We only know what we know. Like, it's hard to know something else unless you get around something else. Like, I can't learn new things in the same environment that taught me all these bad things. Like, it's just not going to happen. Like, I continued to, when I went to jails and prisons, I learned more worse things, more negativity, more things like this. So, we can't do nothing apart from, and I've been saying this the whole series, like, we can't do nothing. Some of y'all know, we can't do nothing apart from who?
God.
God. We can't do nothing apart from God. We can't figure out how to love or have these healthy relationships apart from God. Like because it's His kind of love that's got to manifest itself inside of me and come out to get rid of these things that are so deep that I was 6 or 5 years old we were seeing in the home. Right? Because that's our natural reaction. Like, you step on my toes, you know what I mean? Like, back up. So my natural reactions were not conducive to showing God's love to anyone, let alone my family. Like, let's be real, let alone my family, my children. I tore up every home I was a part of. Right? Like, every part, and it didn't even have to be my home. You invite me in your own. I'm trying to tear it up. It's chaos. Like, 'cause you're already chaos. We're chaos. Everything's chaos. Like, and we're comfortable there. You know what I mean? So all of my relationships with women were the same way. Yelling, screaming, yelling, hitting, jealousy. Lots of jealousy, control. Like, trying to control something. Like, I got cheated on at about 14, 15 years old. And I didn't know that this instant scarred me for the rest of my life. That 20 years later, this was manifesting itself in my relationships. I had no idea that everybody that I had been afterward was suffering from that first person's mistakes. So here I am. Hold on one second. So the truth was, I was afraid and scared. Like, I was scared to get hurt again. And a lot of us were scared in our environments, but we acted out and did things and acted certain ways because we were afraid that somebody might harm us. They might hurt us again, or they might do to us what they did to Larry, or they might do to us what they did to somebody else. God gave me some people to help me identify this in my life. Right? Like, God gave me some people and some issues and some rooms and some things to dig into me and help identify things in my life about this. Because guess what? I had no clue. I was so ingrained in who I was that I had no clue. Like, this is normal, right? So I was the problem. I was the problem. You can't... I was the problem. You couldn't have told me that. But if everyone would just do what I wanted them to do, they would just say what I wanted them to say, act the way I wanted them to act, everything would be good. And better leave me alone. Like, everything would be all right. Like, that was, like, I believed that. Like everybody's on me. The PO's on me. Everybody's on me. I got this. Every attempt at a family failed, and my children were hostages. My young children were hostages of this jacked up person that had all this anger and fear inside of them. And my children were hostages. Right? And no matter how hard I tried to be a father or a husband in any of these things, I couldn't. Because I didn't know what that even looked like. Right? I didn't even know what that looked like. They needed me, and it was time. Here's the scary part. Like I said, I had no idea to be that. Some days I still don't. Right? Like, some days I still don't. Like, I don't even know how to do this. Like, I'm just getting here doing the best I can. I bring God with me. Because I said, we can't do it apart from who? From God. Right? And if I get with God in the morning, then I do the best I can, and nothing else really matters. You know what I mean? I'm doing better than I was. So I say this. See, it took a lot of work to get from there to here. It took a whole lot of work to get here in front of you guys. And that's why I say all the time, like we're the resource for each other. Because we've been doing the work to get better. Some of us are further than the next, and broken people helping broken people. You know what I mean? It was people that were broken before me that got themselves together and became a father before me that helped me to be a better father today. It was people that are in healthier relationships now and marriages now that helped me to get in a position to have a semi-healthier relationships now. Right? These are the things that are happening. So I believe as a church, we're the resource. Like we need to show, that's the iron sharpening iron. We need to get in here and give part of ourselves up. Because if you're just sitting over there holding on to your healthy relationship, you ain't telling nobody about it. You know what I mean? Then make nobody else get healthy. So, I would not be the man I am today if it wasn't for my sponsor. And the man he is. Right? And I wouldn't be the man I am today if it wasn't for his sponsor. And so on and so on and so on. Like people that weren't my dad or weren't my family were teaching me how to be better than I was. And this gets to the point that, I definitely wouldn't be here without God. Because I believe that was a gift from God. Like the men and women that God puts in your life that are like that, that's a gift from God. Like it's a gift from God. So God will send you to people you need to get to understand Him and get to know Him better. Like God will send you to the places you need to be to get what you need to get. I promise you that. We're going to switch gears and we're going to jump into the scriptures that they gave us. So in 1 Peter 3:7, it says, "Likewise, husbands, live with your wives in an understanding way. Show honor to the women as the weaker vessel, since they are heirs with you of the grace of life, so that your prayers may not be hindered." So here Peter is writing to us. Basically, this is Jesus' ace, if you guys don't know. Like, this is the guy that was with Jesus. This is the guy that he said, "Peter, I'm going to build my church on this rock," that he was referring to. And he said, "I'll give you the keys to the kingdom of heaven." Like he said, Jesus said, it's red letter words. He said this to Peter. So here's Peter writing to us. Like this is from the source to Peter to us. Right? Like this is Peter talking to us. And he's calling us out, man. Like he's calling us out. Because like we're the head of the family. Like this is the grand design that God gave us. Like we're head of the family. And he's calling us to head. It's calling us to head and live with our wives in an understanding way, showing honor to the women who are weaker, who are heirs to the grace of life, so that your prayers may be answered. There's a whole lot in this passage, and we could do a whole lot. I can do a whole series on it. We can unwind every word. Like there's a lot to be said here about this. But I want to talk to you about what God gave me today. Right? And it builds off of what I just led you into. How can I live a life in understanding when the only understanding I had in everything you just listened to? Like, how can I be understanding to a wife if all I'm filled with is jealousy, anger, control, drama, fear? Like, how can I? How can I be understanding? How can I be what God said? And this is the thing. Some of us never heard this in our home. Like, my dad, he never sat down and said, "This is how you should love your wife. Like, you should lead with understanding." Right? Like, it just wasn't gifted to me like this. But this is Peter talking to us. Right? So now we have so I don't know if you met my wife, but you better not tell her a weaker vessel. Okay? If she plays softball, sometimes she's better than me. You know what I mean? Like, so you better not tell her. And that's part of her story and her upbringing. You know what I mean? Because women run through a lot of trauma too. We're going to go into that in a minute. You know, because here I am with all this jacked up stuff. And then you got somebody over here with jacked up stuff. And then we're trying to get together with a whole bunch of jacked up stuff. And then we're reproducing jacked up stuff. Because that's the third part of this. Because our children, as we were watching when I was 5, 6, 7 years old, are watching the same thing even when you're on the phone with what's his name, cussing him out, or what's her name. Like they're listening to that, dude. I promise you. I promise you. So Peter, so here's the two of us. We have no idea what a healthy marriage looks like. Me and my wife. That's all busted up we're all busted up from life. Right? Like we're all busted up from life. She went down her path, got busted up, ended down her path, I ended up my path. And here we are, two busted people that are apart from our children. And my children are right here. Like when I got myself together, I was way apart from my children. Like I was the furthest thing from my father. My wife lost her children. And she had to fight to get them back. And I had to fight to get mine back. And it took a lot of work. You know, but with God, all things are possible. Like I said, our kids are in the front row. My wife's mother's in the front row out here. So Peter tells us that we're heirs in the grace of life and that our prayers will not be answered, men, if we do not. So all them prayers, like if you're not understanding your wife and all that, he's basically telling you straight from Jesus to him to us. Like your prayers aren't even going to be answered if you're not taking care of your home, if you're not taking care of your relationships. We need people to teach us, right? We need people to teach us how to do this. Like we need people, we need small groups, we need churches, we need to come into places so people can give us the truth. Because I never got here if it wasn't for people. You know what I mean? God will teach us through them. Like oftentimes, God will teach you through them to get there. So I want to go on to the next scripture. There's Bibles in the front of the pews too, if you guys need a Bible, take it. So likewise, wives, be subject to your own husbands, so that even if some do not obey the word, they may be won without a word by the conduct of their wives. This one, Peter is addressing the women. And he's saying, be subject to your husbands. What do you mean by being subjected to those controlling, crazy, freaky men? Right? Like, but that's what we wanted when I was crazy. I don't know about you, but I've heard people use these scriptures against people to try to control them. Like these very scriptures. And that's not what he meant, and that's not what it means. You know, being subject is listening to that crazy stuff. Let's be real. Man, we could get pretty crazy. Anybody else been crazy? Like, I know I'm not the only one that lost their mind in here. Please tell me I'm not the one that lost their mind behind a relationship. I'm talking jumping out the car at the gas station. Like, I mean, come on, let's be real. Like I got, man, some of the stuff. Dude, if I could write a book about it, you know. And the women are saying, you mean those men that hurt me? Right? Those men that cheated on me? Or even raped me? Those men, you want me to subject myself to that? That's what they're saying. And like I said, you better not tell my wife she's a weaker vessel. You know what I mean? You better not. Because of these things. And you better not tell some of these probably that they're the weaker vessel. Because they've been through some things where they had to be strong. They had to be strong. So she can't do it without God either. Like we can't get there without God. Like none of us, the women or the men, we can't get there without God. Without learning from others that have been through this. Like that here it goes. Like without no resources, without people, we are the resource. We're called to be that resource and help each other heal. Like we're called to be that. We're called to be that person, that loving ear or that hug. Sometimes it's a hug, man. I had some people hug me years ago. I mean, just hug me. And it changed my life. Yeah. Like it changed my life. I didn't even know how, like I said before, I didn't know how to hug at first. I'm like, you know what I mean? Like, because that's how battered I was. That's how jacked it was. The system that I grew up in. I couldn't hug a person, a woman, or a man. And then this is how jacked it was. If a woman hugged you a little tight, oh, she must want me. Right? Like that's how jacked up I was. That's how all of that stuff I just told you about my upper leg. And a lot of that's so far inside of us that we believe that. I've been in jail with people like, you know, that God wants me. And I'm like, dude, are you crazy? Like, are you crazy? But we are crazy. That's the thing. Like, we're insane up here. Like, there's a lot. The enemy has been chopping at us since we were, you know, some of our families don't even know it. You couldn't have told my mom. You know what I mean? I couldn't have told my mom this. She'd have cussed. She'd have stomped out this church. You know, you're talking bad about the way you was brought up. Girl, were you there? You know what I mean? Were you there? You know, I was, you know, but I'm going to keep it moving. I love my mom. So, next it says that if we don't obey the word, that they may be won by the conduct of their wives. So, ladies, I'm about to put something heavy on you. Right? I'm about to put something heavy on you. Peter is trying to say that your conduct when it comes to your family and your husband matters. Right? Like it matters. He is stating that some may be saved or won by your conduct. So that's broken people that need saved and need Jesus. That they see how you and your husband react together and live together and your family does, that it might inspire hope and they might end up at the cross with Jesus. Right? And I'm not asking you to submit yourself to all that stuff, freaky, crazy, junky, you know what I mean? Like man, we got to step up. Like, man, we got to be men. Like, we got to work hard. We got to take care of our business. We got to do the best we can. You know what I mean? We know what the best we can. And if we do women, then guess what we have to do? We have to do our part. You know what I mean? Like, we have to do our part. Now, as a unit, maybe some people can get saved. Maybe some people can get inspired. I have some people that I had completely thought that marriage and love was off the table for me many years ago. Because I thought I was broken and no good at it. But I've seen some people with some good marriages, some healthy things, that made me start to believe in it again. And then God started to pull me and tug me. And then He got me right, and then He gave me a wife. You know, and I don't have to try to fix my wife. My wife went through her own steps, her own process to get where she's at. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have to fix her. You know, a lot of times we get involved, we want to try to fix somebody. It's crazy. So, people are watching how we act as couples in our church because they have not seen healthy relationships before. They're not telling you that they're watching, but people are watching how you interact with your family, with your kids. We watch more than we say, or you know what I mean? People are watching. The confusion the enemy has set forth to break up these strong families. We have to have morals and principles out of the Bible, right? If we want to have this, we can't do it apart from God. I also want to bring this up. There are people who will take that scripture out of context. I said that a little earlier, but they'll try to control and manipulate people. They really will. This is of the enemy. Like, that's of the enemy. It's a trick of the enemy because the enemy used scripture against Jesus. Right? He took it when he was out, and it was 40 days. The enemy came to him, he used scripture. The enemy knows the Bible just as well as we do. Probably better than I do. Better than you do. Just as well as, he's informed. Right? And he's going to use it if he can. You know what I mean? Like, he's going to use it. You just can't. And I'm going to tell you, one of my best defense verses, I'm going to share it with you, is what he said to the devil. He said, "Be gone, Satan. You worship the Lord your God, and only him shall you serve." You know what I mean? That's when it's heavy on me, I'll step in the bathroom, and I'm going to say that like, you know what I mean? Because he's going to get on you. See, learning this together will help others. Is different. So learning this together as a couple is different than weaponizing it against each other. Right? Like getting with good mentorship and studying this and getting, like, how do I get subject to my husband? How do I understand my wife? How do I lean on her? Like, how do we learn together? Like with the third cord being Jesus, being God. Like, we can learn that, but you're not going to learn it if you don't seek out people that have been in strong, healthy marriages. Like, we're just not. Like, it's not going to come onto your couch. I promise you that. This is where loving people starts, guys, is in our home. Right? Like, we can't love out here and go be the outward church division that we have, that we want to go out here and serve homeless and bring people into recovery and be the resource to guide them to housing and guide them to everything that they need, unless we have God in our home and in our hearts. Right? Because when we have it in our home and in our hearts, then they can't help but see it when we come out here. Right? They can't help but see it. But they can also see it if it's not. Like, I promise you, if you're kicking the dog and you're doing all these things and it's blacked out, like, eventually people are going to see that. Like, they're going to see it. Like, I promise you, we know. You know what I mean? We know. It's up. So me and my wife have a covenant of marriage with God. Like a real covenant. I had some marriages before, but they weren't covenants in front of God. Like, I took a covenant in front of God, in front of a real pastor. I met my wife at church, and we have a covenant, right? And it's tough. But this means we don't fail. This don't mean we don't fail the bit. Like, that we don't drive each other crazy or talk sideways to each other. Like, we're not perfect people. Like, we come from chaos and learning to love with no limits. What's up, little Bobby? Say hi to the people. We found a place. It doesn't mean that we don't fight it. We come from chaos and learning to love with no limits. And Emil and me, I were talking about this week's study. And she said it's our job to teach people how to have a healthy relationship. And I say that to be your resource. It's our job to be your resource. So I want to tell you a few things that we did in our marriage or in our life to get where we're at. We want to share a few things with you. We did some premarital counseling with the pastors at Reach AC. And we went through this book called Saving Our Marriage Before Our Marriage. And this book, the girl gets one and the guy gets one, and you answer all these questions, and it helps you identify what the dad's role was in the house, what the mom's role, who did dishes, who did laundry, who even did the cooking. Because oftentimes we feel like we're not getting something in our lives, right? Because in our home, mom did this, but in her home, dad did that. right? And we don't know, and it's creating such a tag on us that we're fighting, and we don't even realize that we're fighting that. It makes you go through some awkward sex questions. And you know what I mean? Because listen, that's part of it. It makes you go through some things, and then you sit down with the pastors, and you guys go over it. You know what I mean? You find some intimate things, like some things that we just normally don't share with each other. Like it just doesn't happen. And it's saving our marriage, man. I'll tell you what, it's less and less separate. They have a few books on relationships and marriage. They do seminars. It's an amazing book, God sent. So we also did a few free books in small groups. We sought out some small groups where we sat down with other pastors and groups. We went to Antioch Church and went to some marital counseling after we were marital when some things came up. We did therapy, right? Because of all that stuff we just talked about coming up, I did therapy on my own. She did therapy on her own. We're fighting for our marriage because it turns out that if we didn't start fighting, that this was going to unravel like every other relationship we ever had in our lives. Each of us worked with our sponsors. We prayed together. We fasted together. Right, like 40-day fast. We took on some fast together. We apologized when we were wrong, and a few times when we weren't. Right? And a few times when we weren't. But we stayed no matter what. When we wanted to run and fight or flight sunk in, we sought to honor God. We still do. We stay. Like we stay. See, the truth is, we still get mad at each other. We still have all that baggage. That's the first thing that comes up when we go through that thing is that baggage. Like it comes up. But we don't let it run our lives today. And it's not going to ruin our kids' lives. Right? Like who we were is not going to ruin my kids' life. We refuse to give up on each other. That's right. Mm-hmm. Right? We refuse to give up on each other. And that's what this study is about. This is what I want the church to realize. This is a family and a home too. We don't shoot our wounded, and we're not going to give up on each other. Like we come in together, we're gonna leave together. That don't mean I'm coming down to the crack house to get you. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? When you make it back, we'll still be here. You know what I mean? We'll send the deep to get you. No, I'm just kidding. We love our church. It's perfect and a little messy sometimes. But we do but we could not do it apart from God. Like we pray together, man. Like I've had a lot of relationships, but we never prayed together. We fought together, hit each other, even called each other names, but never prayed together. So we need God in order to love anything because we're broken. You know what I mean? We're broken. We need Jesus in His sacrifice, church. Like we need that. We need that. I want to look at the last scripture. And it's Psalms 127:3. And it says, "Behold, children are a heritage from the Lord. The fruit of the womb, a reward." And that's why I wanted to have our brother come up, because it was a message from his daughter. His daughter noticed what he was doing. And God used her to say something that shook his core, shook his soul, got himself together, and his daughter's downstairs in church. Yeah. The man's in church. Yeah. You know what I mean? He's a part of the church. He's not just outside the church coming in for 52 minutes and scooting out the back door. He was here this week being of service. The man's a part of the church. And gonna teach his daughter something different.
Maybe.
All right. It says in Psalms, "Behold, children are the heritage from the Lord, the fruit of the womb, a reward." We're honored that you and your daughter are part of this family. I want to tell you, we're honored that you are, and we want to learn with you. See, our children are the gift. And we have an opportunity to stop that curse. Like we have an opportunity to stop that in our home, stop that in our car when we're on the phone. Like stop that. Stop that. You know what I mean? From me, you to God, from Peter, stop it. The curse of yelling is no longer normal in our home. Fighting or talking trash to each other, calling each other names. Maybe some of us need to hear this. It's not okay. Like it's not okay. Right? It's definitely not okay. Right? And it especially ain't okay because you don't think nobody else knows. Because you know when I said it's not okay, that you and God are like, oh, it's not okay. We will pass it on to our children and not even know it. And not even know it. And then one day you'll see them in a messed up, ratchet relationship. and not even want to admit that we were part of it. So I don't want my children to go through what I went through. Me and my wife don't want them to have to go through the things we went through. You know what I mean? Because it was rough. It was bumpy. So it stops here. Like for us. Like we made up our mind. It stops here. It stops now. It stops here for our family. We surrendered our life to God. We surrendered our life to God, to Him. And see, our life is pretty good today. Our life is pretty good today. You know? But apart from God, this don't happen. Like, this is all of our kids and our grandkids, man. This starts by being understanding our wives and subject to our husbands. But you gotta be a husband or a wife. Like, nobody wants to be subject to trash. And that's who I was trash. Right? But I'm not gonna be trash today. I'm not gonna give my kids trash. I'm going to give them better than that. So it stops here, man. Our life is pretty good today because we surrendered the wheel. We had no idea how to change, but God provided the pieces. We just had to do the work. Right? We had to get up and go to church. We had to get up and go to therapy. We had to drive all the way to Antioch Church to get counseling. We had to do all of these things to take action in our lives. But guess what? He showed up. Like God showed, He continues to show up. If you'd have told either one of us 10 years ago, she's doing kids' church and I'd be up here talking to you, it's not what we thought would be going down. You know, but here we are. But we can't do it. But He can. Right? And we're all a resource. We all have a piece to this puzzle. We all have a piece to this. I'm going to turn on some worship music real quick. And if you're here and your life is chaos, like if you have some of this chaos, even a little bit of it, right? If you're here, you have a little bit of this chaos. If God is weighing heavy on your heart, that you need to change some area of your life, this is where it gets tough. Like let's get in the area of your family and in your life. Like this is where it gets tough. We have people in here that have lost kids. We have people in here that got kids back. We have people that have lost their kids that have died. You know, we have kids that are going through some things. Like, this is where things get heavy. You've got something going on, man. We're a family here. We love you. And we want to open these altars, and I want you to come up and seek prayer. Like, if you're apart from God, I'm going to bring up a few people that are going to pray. Like, you can kneel at the altar. Whatever you want to do, man. We want this to be a place where you're comfortable. Right? Like, whatever you need to get off of you, we encourage you to come up and pray. At the end of the day, we'll be here together no matter what. No matter what. I'm going to open the altar and I'm going to tell you something. For over 285 years, people have been praying at this altar.